Welcome back to the channel. We are finally settled down in Washington. We've been in Washington for about 6 months now and it has been incredible, but we're finally just hitting that stride of we're home, we're settled, life can begin again. It feels like 7 months of just transition between having a baby, moving, settling into a new home, new jobs, all of those things. It has been a very intense transition period. Things are finally settling down, and with that I really wanted to get back on YouTube. I feel like I have been a chronic post and ghoster. It's always something that I've been really interested in doing. I haven't known what to bring to the table. I feel kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. Don't know what anybody would care to watch me for. Pregnancy and motherhood is obviously a really easy one to post about, and lots of people can connect with that. I'm so grateful if you're here because you were a mom, or you are a mom, or you're a mom to be. I'm not like a mommy vlogger. There's other stuff that really lights me up, and I want to use this platform for those things so that I have a life beyond being a mom. Hear me with nuance. I love being a mom, but I want something just for me. We're gonna start off kind of an informal, as you can tell, it's a very informal series, talking more about womanhood and kind of the mystical woo-woo esoteric vibe. I love talking with people about it, so I figured we could kind of just keep it casual and go in that direction. I've been looking forward to 2026 honestly for all of 2025. I have just felt like this is my year. I turned 27 at the end of 2025, so a couple months ago. I am now 27. I have felt so excited and lit up to be at 27 and to be at the start of my Saturn return. Basically, from the moment I learned about Saturn returns, I was like, that's where I want to be. I love the process of growing and evolving and shedding and be more aligned with my authentic self, my highest self. 27 just feels like such big girl, womanly energy. And I know 27 is still very young, but it is late 20s. You're approaching and encroaching on your 30s. I have always been excited to age. I love getting older. I love getting wiser. I feel like it's so exciting and juicy and hot to be an experienced woman with life under her belt. And that Saturn return is really the astrological energy of that feeling. So yeah, I heard about it and I was like, I want to go to there. I want to be there. And I'm finally entering my Saturn return. Anyway, with that little update out of the way, let's talk about bringing our sexy back. This is my topic for 2026. I feel so lit up by the concept of sexiness and really deeply embracing sexuality and sensuality and pleasure as women. We have been stripped of our right to experience pleasure unabashedly. I am on fire about empowering women and giving you a permission slip to seek out what you want and seek out pleasure and joy and true satisfaction and fulfillment regardless of where you're at in your life. Married, mother, single, old. If you're calling yourself old, I promise there's a world of sexy outside your door. I promise it's there. I posted an article on Substack yesterday, my first one back in over a year, called I'm Bringing Sexy Back, and I kind of went into what this looks like for me and what it means in my book to bring sexy back and embrace sexiness in 2026. And while it's a personal project for me, I just feel this need to get the permission slip out there for the women who are feeling really downtrodden by this trad wife, conservative modesty culture where the only performance of sensuality is supposed to be behind closed doors for your partner, and when you go outside you should not be perceived and you should be modest and demure. I want to be outrageous, wild, uninhibited, unabashedly myself, and I want to feel sexy and aligned with my highest self and really attuned to what I find enjoyable and pleasurable and sensual. We are definitely in a pleasure deficit here in the United States. Our culture is so puritanical and again, stifling. We really need to center our pleasure as women in order to not get caught up in the fold. I'm gonna read you a quick excerpt from my essay defining what sexiness looks like for me. There is a line in the sand splitting sexiness down the middle. One side exhibits sexiness as a voyeuristic experience, a predation on youth, innocence, and naivety by men for men. The other side embraces sexiness as an embodiment practice, focused on radical self-acceptance, expression, and inner joy, unaffected by age and enhanced by wisdom. That is being in your power, being in your body, being attuned to the self, and being a little bit selfish so that nobody is taking away your power and your intuition. When I envision the sexiest version of myself, I'm like 20 years older. I'm in my 40s. I'm in my 50s. My hair is gray. My boobs are even saggier than they are right now. I have wrinkles. I have wrinkly hands, and I am so full of life. I have a little practice for myself where if I'm struggling with something currently, like in my day-to-day, if I'm struggling in a moment in motherhood, I call on that version of myself, come to me now and help me through it, because she has already gone through every moment that I live in the present and she misses it. There's a version of me in the future who misses right now. So I invite her back and I say, come witness me. It feels like such a practice of self-love. It really drops me into my body, into the present, and it feels like I'm taking a little mental snapshot of this moment of my life that I will actually be able to pull myself back into when I am in my 40s and 50s. Going back to specifically sexy, I feel like that word is a little bit taboo. It feels raunchy. And I know that that's the conditioning we exist in patriarchy. I grew up a Christian in the Christian church. Sexy was not a word that we used to describe women. If anything, it was gross to be sexy or be called sexy. I really am trying to claim and reclaim that word so that it feels empowering. It feels like something women deserve to say and be called in a way that is not demeaning and defined strictly by men's viewpoint and men's desires. I want sexy to be a woman's word. There is power in our words, and there is power in taking back what's ours. I'm taking back sexy. I'm bringing it back in a really beautiful, embodied way. Sexy, that's my word now. I claim it, I reclaim it, it's mine. It cannot be used against me because I desire to embody it. The word, the term sexy has been totally co-opted by the male gaze. In that reclamation, we have the opportunity to take it back and make it ours and strip down the definition of sexy to what it really honestly is for us as women. This practice for me is as much a reclamation of a word as it is a reclamation of my body and an embodiment practice. Over the last few months, it has become very apparent that this is the most important thing that I'm doing this year, going on a sexiness journey. I'm gonna bring you guys along and kind of show you guys what it's like and tell you about my experience in hopes that you also take this and run with it and go on your own sexiness journey. Let's do it in a mysterious, mystic, esoteric, weirdo kind of way. Make the men afraid. The men should not want to be calling us sexy by the end of this. It should be our girlfriends saying you are so sexy. I want it to be a really deeply feminine word and womanly experience to be called sexy. Practical application is really focused on the usual things like the body, the hair, the clothes that make you look a certain way, and they probably like make you feel good and you like look good and you're checking yourself out in the mirror and you're like, I look sexy. And that is one layer of sexiness. Underneath that, like at the core of it, is the desire for an experience of pleasure. As women, we're taught to shy away from the experience of pleasure unless we do it the quote unquote correct way. A guilty pleasure, eating the snack is a guilty pleasure. Saving sex for marriage and then having the pleasure of sex in the confines of the marriage bed. If you want to save yourself for marriage, of course, all power to you. We're discussing, frequent messaging that we get around pleasure. Withholding food and not eating the food that we really want for the sake of being good. I'm like triggering myself. There is an over focus on functionality and practicality and utility, and especially in a puritanical society, dressing modestly, maintaining rigorous, tight schedules, overworking yourself. These are all experiences of withholding and denying yourself pleasure. When you go on a European vacation, you're probably seeking pleasurable experiences. You could actually have them right now, in the home that you live in right now, in the body that you're in right now, in the place that you're in right now. Even the concept of waiting to go on vacation to have a pleasurable experience, whether it's eating what you want or going where you want, having a day that you want, you're withholding pleasure by not allowing yourself to have it right now. That's not to say there isn't something beautiful about discipline, but I think that sexiness is knowing how to walk that line between discipline and pleasure. I think that you can even derive pleasure out of the discipline. I feel so good when I do what I told myself I'm going to do that it becomes a pleasurable experience. Like that is what rewires your brain, that good feeling. It is the dopamine, the oxytocin, the serotonin releases in your body that makes you say, I want to do that again. But when you're trained to avoid those or feel guilty afterwards, it just creates this mixed messaging around the experience of pleasure. In discussing sexiness, it is not a prescriptive one-size-fits-all box of what sexiness looks, sounds, feels like. It is something that is very personal and internal. It is really a practice of turning inward to see what feels right for you. If something I say or do doesn't feel aligned, you've listened to your intuition, and that is sexy. As women, we're really told to give up our intuition and to second guess it. And if you're like me and you grew up in the Christian church, you learn to completely outsource your intuition to the church. If it doesn't align with the messaging that you're being given, it is the devil, it is sin. We shut down that line of communication that we have with our bodies and our spirit because we believe it to be bad. And that is deeply painful for us to split up with something that feels so innate and wise, to look internally and think that something as valuable and personal and wise as our intuition is the devil trying to sneak its way into our mind, body, and soul. It is really painful to question yourself that deeply when you constantly are second guessing your intuition or choosing and listening to someone else over what you know. That rift in your self-trust is so painful because not only are you distancing yourself from your intuition and your innate wisdom, but you're also being told that that's the devil and that's sin and it's bad and you should absolutely not trust it because it is trying to mislead you. Not to get conspiracy, but like there's a reason they tell you that. And so as you come out of that deep conditioning that you are wrong and bad, it can be really difficult to parse out what is pleasure and intuition and to be okay with it and to settle into like really deep trust. It is really hard to come back to yourself, and the repercussions go so much further than I think anyone anticipates. You look at women who believe their whole life that like sex is bad until you are in the marriage bed. And then you're supposed to be this crazy like sex monster and you're gonna like please your man, when your body, mind, and soul have been conditioned to believe sex is a bad, horrible thing to do. And then you're just supposed to like turn it on one day. And on a similar tangent, I think that this is a great illustration of why so many Christian women feel deeply fulfilled by motherhood, is because their intuition finally has an outlet and they can like channel the ancient wisdom of mothering. Went off on like a little bit of a tangent there, but the point being 2026 is the year of sexiness. I'm also getting really serious about my self-care, and not in the like face mask bubble bath kind of way, but in getting psychiatric help. I was finally diagnosed with ADHD and I've been taking medication and it has been life-changing. That feels so sexy. Doing what I said I was going to do feels sexy. I'm also really interested in going to the club. If you have been anywhere near me in the last few months, all you have heard about is how much I want to go to the club. I'm envisioning the club and I'm going to utilize the club as the cheapest ecstatic dance experience that I can find. I'm not even much of a drinker. I want to go to the club sober. And I'm like so lit up by like being around other people. I think being in a big crowd and just so authentically being in tune with yourself and enjoying yourself in a moment like that instead of worrying about others' perceptions of you, that's sexy. Having hobbies is also sexy. I sat down the other day and I decided to paint with watercolors just for fun, and they turned out like shit, and I enjoyed myself so much. Being present, getting off your phone, stopping the worry and anxiety that spirals in your brain when you're seeing other people out doing things and feeling like, should I be doing that? Being preoccupied with other people is not sexy. It's also a sign that you have control issues. Just like check on that. Sexy as a practice can be anything and everything that you want it to be. It can look any way that you want it to look. But at the core, it's about attuning to your most authentic, highest version of self and really courageously and honestly asking, what do I want? If you want to read my essay, I'll have that linked in the bio. Yeah, I'm just like so excited. I feel like it's finally time for me to start talking about everything that's been going on in my head. It's been years of like internal, deep personal work, and I finally feel like I'm breaking through the like drudgery and intensity, and the revelations are like bubbling to the top, and the excitement and the joy and the freedom and like the desire to just do and to stop overthinking and thinking so much. Like it's time to get external. I've been doing all the internal, and now it's time to like bring it out into the world. So subscribe if you'd like to. I would love to have you on this journey. Drop in the comments anything that you're doing this year to like embrace your sexiness. Let me know if you feel the same way that I do. Like it's kind of like a hard word to really like full body claim, because of the way that you were raised or your conditioning, or just like maybe the connotations that you have around it. And if you were also a church kid, I see you. And if you're kind of exploring womanhood and femininity outside of the church, I've got your back, girlfriends. We are here, we're doing it together. Okay, I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.